Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories in the week. I'm Teniola Shoboale. The headlines. 344 abducted Katsina schoolboys received in Katsina State by President Buhari a day after their release by captors in Zamfara. Senate laments increase in insecurity, asks President Buhari to implement recommendations of its committee on the security challenges. Second wave of COVID-19 is here. Presidential task force officially declares warns citizens against non-adherence to protocols. And U.S. begins vaccination of its citizens against COVID-19. That round in view. News Round begins with the joyful release of the 344 students of the Government Science Secondary School in Kankara, Katsina State. The schoolboys who were first moved to Safe in Zamfara State were on Friday taken back home to Katsina State, where they were received by the state governor Aminu Masari. Later the same day, the boys were addressed by the president in the Katsina State Government House, where he commended Governor Aminu Masari for the way he handled the events, leading to the eventual release of the boys.
Students of the Government Science Secondary School Kankara arrive in the Katsina State Government House a day after their release from captivity. Governor Aminu Masari was on hand to receive the 344 boys, relieved that the anxiety generated by their abduction in the state and throughout the country is finally over.
I use this opportunity to praise and thank the efforts made by the entire security apparatus of the state, of the country, for what they did, the professionalism that was shown and demonstrated during the efforts that culminated in the release of these 344 students of Kankara Government Science Secondary School.
Within a few hours, the president, who has been in Daura even before the boys were abducted, made his way to the state government house to meet with the boys. He asked them to put the experience of the past few days behind them and focus their attention on equipping themselves for the boundless opportunities in the world of science and technology.
You children are very lucky. I hope you will be very careful because you're in a science school. Your success in future depends not on subjects like history or English, but technology, because those are the category of people that are likely to stand a better chance of being employed in future.
The president also had a word for the security agencies.
I hope all security agencies will do their job with the fear of God. They should fish out those bandits and bring them to justice, because that's their job, whether they like it or not.
For those wondering if the government paid any ransom to secure the release of the boys, the State Commissioner for Education says there is no such thing. He goes on to say that school activities will resume as soon as the Christmas break is over.
Obviously, the term has come to an end. Christmas is coming. The third term is closed, not only in Katsina State, in other sister states in the Federation. And we'll look at the school calendar and then follow accordingly. If other states open school by January, obviously Katsina State will look at that and then comply.
Some of the parents of these boys have arrived Katsina town to unite with their children, while others will have to wait until after they have received the necessary medical checkup and are returned to Kankara, their base. Idris Jubrin, Channel State.
Well, before the rescue of the schoolboys, Nigerians expressed their outrage over the incident and the way the government handled the rescue effort. The coalition of northern groups was joined in the protest for the release of the students by others. Among them was the national chairman of the opposition People's Democratic Party, who led a protest in the nation's capital, Abuja, with placards bearing different inscriptions. Mr. Uche Secondus led other participants on a walk at the city centre to press home their demands. National chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Prince Uche Secondus, leads other leaders of the party in a protest, asking the President Buhari-led government to rescue the over 300 school children that were kidnapped in Katsina State last week. The protesters displaying placards with inscriptions about the deteriorating security situation in Nigeria continue to chant solidarity songs as they occupy the roadside of the PDP office in the Maitama area in Abuja. The PDP national chairman says President Buhari must act and rescue the schoolboys.
All we are saying is that Buhari bring back our boys from Katsina. It is important. We are in pain. The parents are in pain. The entire country are in pain. We are in agony. We are in sorrow. It is high time for the government of the day, the APC government, to bring back our boys from Katsina.
Inside the premises, protesters continue with their songs, some calling for the resignation of the president for failing to provide security for citizens. Northern Nigeria has reported more cases of kidnap attacks on school children since 2014. In February of 2014, 59 boys were killed when Boko Haram attacked the federal government college, Buniyadi, in Yobe State. In April of 2014, Boko Haram again kidnapped more than 270 schoolgirls from a government boarding school in Chibok in northeastern Borno State. And on February the 19th, 2018, 110 schoolgirls were kidnapped by Boko Haram from the Government Girls Science and Technical College, Dapchi, Yobe State. The abduction of the Kankara schoolboys last week Friday sparked fresh anger across the country, with many renewing their call on the government to prioritize security and give it the attention it deserves. Staying with the security situation in the country, the Senate is asking the president to immediately implement the recommendations of its ad hoc committee on security to address the growing challenges across the country. The recommendation formed part of a debate on the Kankara school abduction prior to their rescue. Meanwhile, the lawmakers rejected an additional motion seeking to invite the service chiefs to brief the Senate on the situation.
Mr. President, bring back our boys.
Another day, another motion in the Senate on insecurity in the country. This time is the abduction of more than 300 schoolboys from Government Science Secondary School, Kankara, Katsina State on Friday, 11th December 2020. Boko Haram has claimed responsibility for the attack, which was executed in a manner reminiscent of the abduction of the Dapchi and Chibok schoolgirls.
That media reports about this deadly incident indicate that the attackers stormed the school premises and engaged government security agents in a fierce gun battle, forcing hundreds of students to flee and hide in the surrounding forest, while others were reportedly abducted by gunmen.
About 2 weeks ago, the Senate debated the gruesome killings of rice farmers in Zabamari, Borno State, and asked President Buhari to sack the service chiefs. President Buhari is yet to yield to these demands by Parliament, and there appears to be a sense of helplessness by these senators.
Most of us are becoming disenchanted and discouraged. Since Friday, over 300 children have been moved. Then we have security people who are just collecting money and building big houses in Abuja. And then we say that we can only pay lip service and then we say we are representing the people who are not representing them.
The worst part of this situation is that nobody is talking to us. We're just there as if we're talking rubbish. 333 boys. That's the future of Nigeria. That's the entire two chambers put together. Mr. President, the time has come for us to take drastic action. One of them is that we can't be budgeting for dead people. If we decide that government must do something before we will produce the budget, I am sure they will be up and doing.
This Senate, and indeed the National Assembly, like I said before, should never get tired. Should never get tired. Because imagine we don't discuss these issues. What else can we do? So what we need to do is to look at the architectural design of the security system in the country.
Bothered by President Buhari's unwillingness to implement previous resolutions on insecurity, lawmakers discard the recommendation to invite the service chiefs, the Inspector General of Police and Director General of the Department of State Service. Senators have frequently criticized President Buhari for refusing to execute his recommendations on insecurity, one of which is to sack the heads of security organizations in the country and replace them with new hands and fresh ideas. Beyond repeatedly making these demands, the upper chamber appears to be unwilling to explore other avenues of getting President Buhari to yield to their demands. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
The situation in Zamfara State is also given a cause for worry in the face of the attack on the convoy of the Emir of Kaura Namuda Sanusi Muhammad Asha by suspected bandits on Zaria Buntua Road. 3 policemen and 5 other persons were killed during the incident, which occurred while the traditional ruler was on his way from Abuja to his base in Zamfara State. The traditional ruler recounts his ordeal in the attack.
It's an unfortunate thing that happened because I was looking at it like I'm watching film. Because when we came, we are seeing the next village, and those people are looking at us while these bandits are lying down, waiting for those people that are passing. So that's why I say unfortunate. And another thing, when I say destiny, is that when I was going, among my boys that I went with, one of them was not even among the people that I went. But we made a call that he said, okay, he's going to meet me in Zaria. And he met me in Zaria. And now we moved with him on his own. While the other one that went together, he fell sick when we were about to come back. And because of that, I now have to leave him there. That, okay, wait till the next day when you're okay, you come back. You are not in a hurry. So you can imagine how destiny is. Because that one survived, he fell sick. This one, he was not part of us, and he followed us, and he belonged to them. So it's unfortunate.
When News Round returns in just a moment, PTF officially declares second wave of COVID-19 in the country. Details in a moment. Stay with us. Well, it's now official. The second wave of the coronavirus pandemic is here, and this is according to the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. Consequently, the task force has indicated that it will begin to review further reopening of the nation's economy. The Minister of Aviation, Adi Sirika, who represented the PTF chairman, Boss Mustafa, currently on self-isolation, directed that owing to the spike, all non-essential trips should be cancelled.
The announcement by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 that vaccines would be made available by first quarter of 2021 also comes with the terrible news that officially Nigeria begins a second phase of the pandemic. The PTF chairman, currently on self-isolation, is represented by the Minister of Aviation.
In Nigeria, the indication is that we have entered a second wave of infections, and we stand the risk of not just losing the gains from the hard work of the last 9 months, but also not losing the precious lives of our dear citizens. Current realities, however, point to the fact that the course of further opening up of the economy may have to be reviewed.
The aviation minister further reveals palliatives for business owners at the airports.
We took a decision to waive certain fees being charged by FAN for the period of 6 months from April to September 2020 on the following revenue lines: ground rent, rent, service recovery charge, and concession fee for concessionaires who pay yearly fixed rate in advance. And of course, these are only for FAN-controlled airports.
Lagos, Kaduna and the FCT are currently recording the highest numbers of cases, hence the charge that public and private leaders enforce strict adherence to the COVID-19 protocols.
Let the leaders of restaurants, the owners, the directors in offices and ministries enforce that if people are not wearing masks, they should not enter that premises.
We will communicate the measures that will be required over the coming days once we've had additional discussions with the state governors as well as with our principal.
The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 is expected to submit its report on Tuesday, the 22nd of December, 2020. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The lawmakers are asking the National Communications Commission, NCC, to extend the December the 31st deadline issued to SIM card owners to submit their national identification numbers to their network providers. The House praised the intention of the NCC for security reasons, but wants the process to be extended to 10 weeks, considering the difficulty experienced by Nigerians in obtaining the national identity numbers.
The 2 weeks ultimatum issued by the Ministry of Communications for Nigerians to submit their national identification number to their phone service providers or risk being blocked has been generating reactions.
I still have one number that is not registered till today. So, and I think for security purpose, I think it's a welcome idea.
Question is, how many offices of NIMSI are in Abuja? Right here in Abuja, I can point to 3 or 4, 5 places where you can do SIM registration. And with COVID-19, if people get into panic and begin to rush into these centers, there could be a resurgence and even an increase in infections.
The attention of lawmakers has also been drawn to the matter. In a motion of urgent public importance, the minority leader insists that the intention may be good, but not the timing.
Rising from what happened during NSAS, where most Nigerians or most hoodlums were using SIM cards to abuse and terrorize people in office without being able to ascertain or track them. And rising from that behavior, the NCC was actually summoned by the House. NCC was mandated that they should try as much as possible to ensure that all the service providers get all the SIM cards registered. And to start it is, first of all, to register with National Identity Card Management. But we did not envisage, Mr. Speaker, that having given that suggestion, that they will now come and say, okay, we are limiting this process to only 2 weeks.
The contributions that follow also suggest the same thing. For security reasons, the intention is good, but more time is needed.
A situation whereby kidnappers and other scrupulous elements in the nation will kidnap people and they will be transacting ransom via telecommunication, and then the security agents will not be able to track them.
So I think it will be good that we give a timeline, a minimum, something like after the Christmas, that should end on 28th February 2021.
Many Nigerians are worried about the numerous data collected for various purposes, such as bank registration, voter registration, SIM card registration, driver's license registration, national identity card, and international passport registration, which do not seem to be harmonized. They also worry that the process needed to acquire the national identification number is not an easy one. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, lawmakers in the House of Representatives are asking the Minister of State for Labour to suspend action on the planned implementation of the Special Public Works Programme for the employment of 774,000 workers. The lawmakers want the process stopped until a comprehensive list of beneficiaries from the Nigerian Directorate of Employment is available. They also condemned the removal of the Director General of the National Directorate of Employment.
It would seem that the rift between the Minister of State for Labour, Festus Keyamo, and the National Assembly over the Special Public Works Programme of the federal government, scheduled to commence on the 5th of January 2021, is far from over. Mr. Keyamo and members of the National Assembly have since August openly disagreed on who should implement the program, which seeks to create 774,000 jobs in all local governments of the Federation. Despite the intervention of the President, directing the Minister to proceed with the program, the House of Representatives is insisting that it should be put on hold.
Greatly concerned that most Nigerians that have submitted their names to the ND offices in their respective states have been unjustly excluded from this program. The House therefore resolved to, 1, mandate the Minister of State for Labour to stop with immediate effect all processes leading to the commencement of the program on January 5, 2021 until the list of beneficiaries compiled by the ND in each state is used as a basis of selection.
And just like the Senate, the House disagrees with the President on the removal of the Director General of the National Directorate of Employment, who had publicly insisted that his agency, by law, should implement the program.
The removal of the DG, who seems to be following the due process in the execution of this project. So we condemn in total the removal of the DG and call for his immediate reinstatement.
A man has stood up for the right thing to be done. The Director General of National Directorate of Employment. Mr. Speaker, I think when we begin to see things like this come, we have to brief Mr. President beforehand, before Mr. President is being ill-advised to take a decision that will make for the ill will of this government, Mr. Speaker.
An otherwise commendable, very good, ambitious program by Mr. President. We should not allow it to be tainted in any way.
The matter has been directed to the House Committee on Labour to ensure compliance. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
News round ends in the United States, where the first COVID-19 vaccinations approved for public use in the country have begun. It's the start of an effort for the country's largest ever vaccination campaign, with the aim of reaching 100 million people by the month of April. And that's News Round this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shoboale. Have a lovely weekend.